So hello and welcome everybody to the Buddhist Recovery Network Academy. I am Susanna, joining you from Helsinki, Finland, and it's now here 8 p.m. and the sun is shining. We are getting close to the summer solstice. I'm a Buddhist in recovery from multiple addictions. I'm training for ordination in Triratna Buddhist Center. I facilitate both 8-step recovery meetings and mindfulness-based addiction recovery courses here in Finland. And I'm also the vice president of the board of the Buddhist Recovery Network. We have Beth doing the tech today. Thanks for your generosity. And today we have a teaching offered by the Academy teacher, Mary Stancavage. And Mary has been here every year, so she's a regular. Yay! And we love to have you back. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Mary and the teaching, the topic of which is building a foundation for freedom in a while. I will tell a few words about Dana. All of our teachings are given freely, and we're blessed with some amazing teachers who have experience on the cushion, experience working with body, speech, and mind, experience in the ongoing practice of recovery by the way of Dharma. As we practice the Buddha's teaching of generosity, we invite you to give dana that will be given to support our ongoing Buddhist Recovery Network meetings and to support the teacher. You can give on a one-time or recurring basis using the information that Beth is posting to the chat field. We sincerely thank you for your generosity. And Beth will also share you other information to give Dana. Yes. Okay, and then to the main thing of our event today. I'm about to say all the time evening because it's evening here. So of our event today is Mary Stancavage, our teacher. So she has practiced meditation, yoga, and cultivated a spiritual practice for over 35 years. And in 2009 was empowered to teach Buddha Dharma. She teaches classes, retreats, coaches, and mentors individuals, and has facilitated several year-to-live groups over the years. She has served a volunteer hospital chaplain and been involved with leadership in several nonprofit organizations over the years, both in meditation and in the social justice arena. She's currently a member of the Guiding Teachers Council for Inside Community of the Desert, serves on the Los Angeles District Attorney's Interfaith Task Force, and is a board member of both Meditation Coalition and CLUE, Clergy and Laity for Economic Justice. For the last several years, Mary has investigated what it means to live with an undefended heart, and more information on this can be found on her website that's Beth will post to the chat field. And a fun fact, Mary has an MA from UCLA and has spent several seasons working as an archaeologist in Syria. And then today's teaching is building a foundation for freedom. When we are caught in addictive behaviors, we're often acting from habits that have been strengthened over the years and which can be difficult to break. The Buddha's teaching of liberation and awakening, the Eightfold Path, also offers us a path to freedom from these habits. When we intentionally use this path as a roadmap for how we move through the world, we are building a foundation that is strong and serves us in all aspects of our lives. It's a foundation that offers freedom from addiction. And now let me introduce to you Mary. The screen is yours.
Oh, thank you so much, Susanna. It's always lovely to see you. I had the opportunity to meet Susanna in Finland a few years ago when I was able to teach over there. So it's lovely that we have an international community, and these practices and these teachings are, as I said, international. So as Susanna mentioned, we're going to have a little a meditation, and I'm not sure if there's anybody if there's anybody new to meditation, but you can't do it wrong. And what I have been practicing with recently is this reminder to simplicity in our practice and gentleness in our practice. We can get into a place of thinking it's supposed to be a particular experience or we're supposed to do something, and that becomes a form of striving. But if we can just relax and release and be open, there's a spaciousness that we experience that allows us to be present for all the comings and goings, the the pleasant and the unpleasant, and the comfortable and the uncomfortable. We can just be with. Sati, the word that's usually translated as mindfulness, also means to be with. So this morning, in our little sit, I invite you to simply be with your experience, be with in a friendly, relaxed way. So find a way to sit right now that will be comfortable. Take a few moments to arrive, even if you've been sitting or laying down, whatever is comfortable for you. You may even be standing, whatever it is, really let yourself settle, arrive, stretching if that's supportive. And know that you are right where you are, feeling the body beginning to relax. Bring an intentionality to this relaxation. Maybe spending a little bit of time softening around the face and the jaw. Relaxing the shoulders, the arms, the hands. Relaxing the torso, the chest, the belly, the hips. Letting the legs relax, the feet. Allow yourself to be supported by your seat, by your foundation. Ultimately, we're all supported by the earth. So letting the weight of the bones and the flesh just be. And as you allow the body to relax, allow the mind to relax as well. Releasing any expectations, any agenda. There's nothing to do. There's nowhere to go. Let yourself be. Beginning to open in awareness to what's present for you right now. There may be some physical sensations in the body. There's so many energies that move through. that we're often unaware of because the mind is going distracted. Opening an awareness to what's here, feeling the contact with your seat, your feet on the floor, clothing against the skin. Aware of what else may be present, different sensations, sounds, or smells, or tastes. You might even have images, even with eyes closed. And aware of different thoughts that may be showing up, different emotions that may be present, a mood, perhaps. We don't shut our minds off when we practice. Instead, we open to whatever arises, whatever's right here, resting in a gentle awareness, a friendly awareness, making space for everything. You may also notice any reaction to your experience. An unpleasant sound, you may find yourself caught in wishing it would stop. Maybe distracted by a thought. And just recognizing the habits of reactivity that often show up. And this practice is the opportunity to recognize without judgment. And remembering the intention to let everything be and greet the experience with friendliness. Being relaxed in the body, relaxed in the mind, resting in a gentle awareness. Right now, it's like this, letting it be. And we're moving into the last moments of our practice. I invite you, if you like, to move now into a simple gratitude practice. I invite you to bring to mind one thing in your life you're grateful for and rest for the next few moments in that gratitude. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your practice. And thank you, Susanna, for reading the little blurb I wrote for this. I came up with the title for the talk like 6 or 7 months ago, and then I had to figure out what I was going to say. But I've been thinking about foundation, and the importance of foundation for a really long time. It's something that I kind of really go back to again and again because it's so important. If foundation is what supports us, it's the ground on which we stand, and it's like a house foundation. You have this, at least here in the States, this concrete slab that you build your home on, and we have a spiritual foundation as well, and a foundation for recovery, which can be just as solid as any house foundation and keep us steady as we walk this path of recovery. And I have found it, the more I get into this practice, the deeper I go, the more important the foundation is for how we move through the world and how powerful these teachings can be to serve as a foundation. And so that's really what I want to talk about today. The Buddha said that the root cause of our dukkha, which is usually translated as suffering, is the inability to be okay with what is and the craving for something else. This ain't right, I want that. And we get stuck in that place of wanting. And when we're in our addiction, whatever that addiction may be, for me, it was food from an early age, and then it moved into alcohol. I had no foundation. I was constantly blown around by whatever shiny object that I thought would help me. And it wasn't intentional. It was just kind of this conditioning, how we grew up. We all receive various messages and have very different life experiences that form our outlooks and perspectives. And however we do that, oftentimes we end up in this place of wanting that or thinking that, or this is better than this. And so it becomes a real struggle to find any ground. And so I was just blown around by my cravings. And yeah, and I had a job, I had a place to live, I had some friends, but it got a little tenuous. And I was always looking out for the next best thing. There was no place to land that offered any security. And I was always looking for something to save me, and y'all always disappointed me. Just never worked out. So I got sober 39 years ago. 39 years and a month ago, through 12-step. And it was a place to land that gave me some stability. And I am so extremely grateful for that. And a few years after I got sober, I read Start Where You Are by Pema Chodron, which is a really excellent book. And that began my journey on this path. And what I want to do now is talk about one of the basic teachings of Buddhism, which is the Eightfold Path, and how that can serve as a foundation, and how it has become, not intentionally, but just because of my practice, all of a sudden I went, oh, wow, this has given me a place to land that's always here. It's become part of my experience. It's an embodied experience that just supports me as I move through the world. And the Buddha called it the path to freedom, the cessation of dukkha, of suffering. And through following this, we build the capacity to be present. Even if this moment is uncomfortable, we can be right where we are. The Eightfold Path is 8 factors, duh. And they're numbered 1 through 8, but it's not linear. It's not, okay, I do one, then I do two, then I do, and then we finish and then we check the box and then we've done the Eightfold Path and now we've arrived. It's not like that at all. In fact, most of us, I know I came to it through meditation, practice when I first sat down, and I tried all kinds of meditation till I finally came to insight meditation, which is what I primarily practice. And that's the seventh factor. So it's like you start at 7, but as I said, it's not linear. These are teachings that there's a way of thinking about how we learn. And I think Philip Moffat writes about this in um, one of his books. I can't remember exactly which one of his first 2 books, where, we have this awareness, this educational, intellectual practice of something. I learned what the Eightfold Path is, and I learned the different steps. What was the first one and what was the second one? And so there's this intellectual study of it. But then it becomes more experiential, and we begin to recognize the teachings in our lives, and then it's just how we move through the world. So, you know, when we start meditation, it's like, oh yeah, there's the coming into it and begin sitting down and quieting the mind for perhaps the first time. And it's not easy. You've all had your very first meditation somewhere along the line. And it's like, I don't know how many people have told me, I can't meditate, my mind won't shut up. And I'm like, well, that's the practice. It's recognizing that and then beginning to quiet the mind. It's beginning to recognize that how the mind just has a mind of its own a lot of time. And then when we begin to quiet the mind, and how we quiet the mind oftentimes is through the 6th factor, which is wise effort. This recognition of oh, I want to be here, but I'm having an argument with someone who's not in the room. Oh, and the effort to be willing to release that. Sometimes these are stories that we've been replaying over and over again our whole lives, or memories that we've been carrying for years and years and years that just kind of are there. And through meditation, we begin to see, oh, I don't have to, it's just a story. I can let that go. It's just a habit energy in the mind. And wise effort is recognize that this isn't really a wise place. It's not necessarily wholesome. Can you let it go? And can you cultivate being present? So effort and mindfulness work together. And then concentration is this collectedness of thought, which at the outset of our practice, when we're new, it's like concentration is like somewhere over there. And that's fine. And so we recognize these stories, and this is how we begin to build our foundation. And when we have some steadiness and a recognition of that conditioned reactivity that we have and those habit energies, we begin to see how we cause our own discomfort. It's like, oh, I want that. If I get that, if I'm stuck in the idea that if I get that job, then I'll be happy. Or if I get that relationship, then I'll be happy. Or if this or that, then I'll be happy. And seeing how they were caught in craving. Or I wish this would end. We're caught in aversion. The roots. That is how we begin to move into wise view, which is the first factor on the path. We begin to understand the roots of our discomfort, which the Buddha says is greed, craving, aversion, not wanting something, or just delusion, ignorance. And when those 3 are unchecked, they cause so much trouble. As I said, we're pulled by thinking that something will fix it and then we'll live happily ever after. Doesn't work. And Bhikkhu Bodhi, who wrote the wonderful book, The Noble Eightfold Path, which is a very thin but powerful little volume. He says that right view, this first factor, provides the perspective for practice. So we have the practice, and then we begin to have the perspective. And the Buddha says nothing is more responsible for the arising of unwholesome thinking or actions as wrong view, of seeing things, totally disjointed. I was very good at being a mind reader and a fortune teller. You could tell me something, but I knew what you really meant because my brain, or I something would happen. I went, well, that's what the future is. And that's how I ran my life. Mind reading, fortune telling, knew what was going on, or having this fixed view of me and my thing, and who I was. I can't do this, I can never do that. My story is not good enough, always on the outside looking in. And that is a rigid idea which may not be based in reality, but until I started investigating, I was stuck there. So right view helps us to begin to identify. This is that recognition piece of learning. Is like, oh, I was stuck in that story again. Oh, this is how this greed, this craving showed up. Oh, not desire. Desire is not bad. It's when desire becomes a craving, an obsession. We all know what obsession's like. Not fun. And so, you know, I see how my wanting to feel safe perhaps leads me to people please, which is always a good idea. Not, um, or do or say things that may not be in my best interest because I'm afraid. So when we begin to see clearly, we begin to become willing to change, which leads us into the next factor, which is wise intention. And wise intention is so important. I think intention is incredibly important, and it includes in this teaching in the Eightfold Path. Wise intention includes renunciation, goodwill, and harmlessness. And Bhikkhu Bodhi again said, the tool the Buddha holds out to free the mind from desire is understanding. Real renunciation is not a matter of compelling ourselves to give up things that we still inwardly cherish, but of changing our perspective on them so that they no longer bind us. When we understand the nature of desire, we investigate it closely with a keen attention, and desire or this craving just falls away. And I also see renunciation. It's not a do this because it's the right thing to do, as Bhikkhu Bodhi says. When we understand how craving is doesn't lead to anything, we begin to let go of what doesn't serve us. Our addiction doesn't serve us. It causes even more suffering. How do I let that go? And not just letting something go, but bring something else into its place. I learned that we can't just create a vacuum because we'll fall back on our old foundation of our addiction, whatever that was. But we put something else in its place. And for this, for me, it was practice. It was like recognition. It's like, oh, okay. Or even today, I still look at what's causing suffering in my life. Oh, this busyness that sometimes I get into. And if I want to take busyness out, what am I going to do instead? Oh, maybe I'll sit down for 10 minutes and read a book. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to spend 3 hours doing this. It can just be little things. We just do piece by piece. There's a sense of grandiosity. I'm going to change everything all at once. But intention is no, you just set a course to move in a direction. It's like if you're taking a boat from the UK to the US, you set a course and you have to constantly adjust based on the winds and the water and so on. If you're not adjusting, you can end up in South America. But we have to constantly, so intention is to move in a particular direction. And the other two pieces of wise intention in the Eightfold Path are goodwill, where we greet the world warmly, metta, an attitude of warmth extending to all human beings. We're friendly. That's a part of letting go of judgment. I like to judge people at airports, like about how big their suitcases are. And then I go, oh, I forget. I'm friendly to you. I forgot. And so you can shift these things. And the third piece is we move through the world in a way of non-harming, with compassion, recognizing that other beings suffer just as we suffer. And they want to be happy. Other humans want to be happy too, just as we are. And a lot of times they're stuck in fear, just as we are. So goodwill, harmlessness, get us out of our own heads and start helping us recognize we're connected to others. An addiction is a place of deep isolation. So that if we can cultivate this connection, it's incredibly important. And as I said, wise intention helps us set a direction to move in. When we become lost or confused, we can use it as a barometer to, tell us where we're going. And Daniel Siegel said, neuroscience tells us that intention primes the nervous system to be on the lookout for whatever will support what we intend. So if we actually set an intention, the nervous system is primed. It's like if you get a new car, then all of a sudden you see everybody else has the same car, whereas before you didn't see that. It's so because now you're primed. And my friend Kevin Griffin, who you probably know, says that intention gives clarity, direction, and resolve on the path. With right intention, we are never entirely lost, no matter how much we stray. Right intention guides us back to ourselves and the values of kindness and wisdom. So again, it's a foundation. Oh yeah, this is a place to land. How am I? Oh yeah, kindness, non-harming, letting go of what doesn't cause harm, or letting go of what causes suffering. And we don't have to be perfect. We just keep moving in that direction because nobody's perfect. I have a new tattoo, and it's just a little one, you can't see it. It says, I'm not dead, so I'm not done. And just keep going in this direction and keep going in this direction. And this brings us to the next piece of the Eightfold Path, which is the centerpiece, or, the middle portion. It's called Sila, ethical behavior, how to live in a way that doesn't cause harm, how to live in harmony with other beings, with other humans, with other people, with ourselves, because how often are we our own worst enemy? And it includes wise speech. It includes wise speech, wise action, or wise livelihood. You'll see the Eightfold Path, it says right speech or right or wise speech, and I kind of use them interchangeably. I tend to say wise over right. But the precepts come out of this. It's how to live with integrity, and they're not commandments, but they're a way to shape our core values and how we live our lives in a way that's liberating and powerful and foundational. So in the Eightfold Path, the speech, Buddha invites us to make sure it's true, of course, not slanderous or unkind, not harsh, and stay away from idle chatter. And in the precepts, we expand that a little bit to be true, kind. Is it timely? Is it the right time? Is it useful? I often say, is it necessary? And it's not just speech, it's communication. Because today we can communicate in so many ways. And how many times have I asked myself, is this necessary? 9 times out of 10, it's not necessary. And I don't need to go there. And what's my intention behind what I'm saying? And for me, wise speech has been a powerful practice because I was a person who it was really hard for me to say things that I was afraid you wouldn't like. So I ended up not saying anything at all, to my own detriment a lot of times. And so landing on wise speech, coming into a situation where I was petrified, it's like, oh, I have to say the things that need to be said. It's necessary speech. To be honest, to be true, to take care of myself and not cause harm to me, I need to say what needs to be said. So it can move, we can use these teachings to support our own particular journey. They're not like so rigid. They're very, they're very open and accepting, and then wise action, not intentionally causing harm. We cultivate kindness and compassion for all. So this is not just don't do this, but it's also cultivate this, cultivate compassion. Not taking what's not offered. Not just don't take, but cultivate generosity as well. Avoiding sexual misconduct, non-harming, that can cause so much harm. So we have these ways of landing that I see as a tent, a net. Like if you see performers in a circus on a trapeze, there's always a net. Well, there may not be, but I see it as a net. And this is the net that I'm going to land in. How do I move through the world with wisdom and kindness and compassion and non-harming for me and others? This Eightfold Path provides that path. And so this, taken together, all these steps, these factors provide a foundation that supports us. When the old and familiar reactions and behaviors fall away, these factors are a guiding force, force in my life. Mindfulness reminds me to pause. Intention points me in the direction I want to go in. We're invited to investigate. Is this wise? Is it kind? Is it necessary? And we begin to develop these new habits of thinking. So we've gone from the intellectual understanding of and memorization, so to speak, of the factors, and then the recognition of how these things can show up in our life, to an embodiment of it. So it's kind of how we move through the world. And I have to think about it less and less and less because it's become a new habit. So it's a wholesome habit rather than the unwholesome habit that was just killing me. And if we commit to this, it can be a foundation of living, a foundation of freedom, and if that's what's offered, why not? So thank you so much, my friends, for your, I always say thank you for your kind attention. I really appreciate it. And I hope this has been of some benefit. So thank you. And,
Thank you, Mary. Thank you,
thank
Mary. I'm here resting in the gratitude of your teaching. That was so beautiful. I was so much admiring how you could so simply put everything that is important. It was like, what do you call it? Like a course in recovery and Buddhism for dummies, So it's kind of like, this is what I hope that everybody who comes to Buddhist recovery would hear, because it was so profound. It had, it was very rich. Thank you.
Thanks, Susanna.
And now it's time for the Q&A. So you may have questions from the meditation or what Mary was sharing. And the way to ask questions is to type them to the chat field. Like there is already one question in there. We will get back to that soon. Or you can raise your hand with the raise hand option, or wave your hand if your camera is open, of course. And send your questions to everybody unless you want to ask anonymously. And then you can send your question to Mary or me individually. And as you post your question to the chat field, we will be asking you to come live to ask your question. You have a choice. If you don't want to do it, you can. That's okay as well. And sometimes it happens that we don't have time for every question. We are going to start wrapping up about 5 to. So keep coming back and you will get your answers, definitely. And Mary, maybe, can you see the first question in